The topic of my talk this morning is the advantage of marriage. I don't know whether you remember the words of the last hymn you were singing. Last hymn you were singing was actually called the Song of the Golden Rule, and it has, very fortunately, some connection with what I'm going to talk about this morning. Do you remember the words that you sang? Can you please turn to page 69? Now we have some notes to refer to. If you read the second paragraph, you will see these words: be kind to those who are unkind, give love to those who hate. Right? Thus will your marriage be untold, and your blessings very great. Okay? So give unto all the best you have, to all a favor do. And all those blessings in their time will then come back to you. So what are we actually talking about? Right? The main thing that we are actually saying is that whatever you do, right, whatever good you do will come back to you. And sometimes they come back to you not on a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes whatever good you do comes back to you in bountiful, meaning that they multiply and come back to you. So we are actually talking about meritorious deeds or merit. Okay? In Buddhism, we talk a lot about merit. Instead of having, let's say, blessings from the Creator, right, or wishes granted by the person who created you, we say that whatever things we want can be brought about by meritorious deeds. That is merit. So we accrue merit, right? We do meritorious deeds, we do good action, so that our store of merit will be accrued, will be full. A lot of it we will have. So in Buddhism, there's so much talk about merit. So let us now discuss about how and what merit actually is. In Pali, that is the original language of the Buddha, instead of describing it in all sorts of ways, the Buddha has called merit by this word Punna, P-U-N-N-A, Punna, right? And the meaning of Punna is that which purifies and cleanses the mind. So you can see the good things you do, right? At the moment that you do these good things, right, your mind is very pure and it is clean. All the good things that you do at that point, it doesn't matter. There are actually 10 meritorious deeds which I will explain to you later. If you do any one of these 10 meritorious deeds at the moment of doing it, right, if you have no selfish motive, your mind is actually very pure. Right? And it is this pure state of mind that brings you the happiness. But of course, we are talking about results also. So we say that if you do more of charity, if you do more of all kinds of good work, all these things will come back to you, right? And we are hoping for this good result. But actually, what immediately comes as a result is that when you do it, your mind is happy. When you do good work, your mind is happy. And therefore, the quick result of this is that your mind becomes pure and clean. Okay? So this is actually a different point of view from what we are used to, in hearing about merit. Okay? And we know that the mind, our mind, if we leave the mind to act naturally, to behave naturally, right, the mind will drag us into trouble. Such is the nature of the mind. Sometimes we are not really aware of the nature of our mind. But if we sit and we watch our mind, if you take some time off, right, when you have a quick moment or you are free for some time, you just sit there and you watch. You will see that the mind's natural tendency is to think bad things. And this is because, we have been in existence so many times, and the nature and the things that we do is normally aimed at bad things. This is human nature. Unless we take great pain, unless we take great effort to try and discipline ourselves, we see that the mind's natural tendency is towards unwholesome deeds. Right? A lot of the time, you find that the mind has some sort of ill will, some sort of delusion, a lot of it, and even some sort of greed. Okay? So when one makes merit, one practices skillful actions. Okay? In Buddhism, we talk about skillful actions, actions that bring benefit to you. We don't talk about sin, which in other religions they place such great emphasis on. The actual meaning of this word sin is that you do something which is against the law of the Creator. Right? And since in Buddhism we don't believe in a Creator, right, we don't actually call our wrong actions sin. What we actually say is, these are unwholesome actions. These are unskillful actions. Why unskillful? Because they don't bring any benefit to you. Okay? Things even like in the eyes of the law which are wrong. For example, if you steal, if you kill, definitely in the eyes of the law, that is the law of this country, you are definitely wrong. Okay? And therefore you will be punished. But in Buddhism, we say that these are unskillful actions. That is, if you do it, if you commit these kinds of unskillful, unwholesome actions, it will bring you to a woeful condition. It will bring you to a very sad result. Therefore, we call these unwholesome actions. But punya, or merit, on the other hand, is what we call skillful actions. It is actions that if you do more of it, you will experience more happiness, more joy, right? More bliss in living in our world. And therefore, we should encourage ourselves and others to perform more of these meritorious deeds. And these deeds are actions which improve the quality of the mind. That is, the more we do, right, the more we lessen our greed, hatred, and delusion. And the more we find that our mind is actually happy, really happy, rather than indulging in just pleasure. Okay? And the making of merit ensures that a Buddhist leads a balanced and harmonious life. And it is not sufficient for us as Buddhists just to come here and listen to talks and to read Buddhist books, right? And just say, oh, now I know about Buddhism, right? I've attended talks by Chief Reverend, I've attended public talks here and there, and on Sundays I come here and listen, therefore I am a Buddhist. But it is not sufficient to just do and say that. What we must do is put all these things that we have learned into practice in such a way that they will bring benefit to us. So this is what we say as performing skillful actions. So this is what merit is all about. In life, sometimes we like to describe our life as a journey, right? In samsara, in the cycle of birth and death. You know what samsara is, right? We all have this conviction, right, that this is not the only life. We are not living just one life. We have led many lives before in the past. And if we don't quickly put an end to our ignorance, we will lead many, many, many more lives in the future. So these merits are very helpful for us on this journey. That is, as we go from life to life, merits are very important. First of all, you can see the importance of merit in a very material way. Right? You can see in the world today that there are some people who are very well off. They have much more than us, right? And they don't work very hard for it. Some of us, we have to slog so hard just to earn a salary for the month. We have to go in at 8:30 in the morning or 9 o'clock, and we work sometimes through lunchtime, no time to eat a good lunch. And then after that, we finish work not just at 5, but 6, but sometimes 7. And this is what my own self I've experienced. I've actually experienced more than a 16-hour day, just to hold on to a job. It's very difficult. But there are some people who don't seem to work very hard for what they have. Sometimes they are very fortunate in that they are born into rich families, right? Sometimes they are very fortunate in that whatever they do in their working life turns out well for them. And so we can say that these people, they have done some sort of meritorious deeds in the past that comes forward to support them when they need it. And this is in a material sort of way. So we can call merit, right, this meritorious action, as a kind of spending money along the way. When we travel on this journey, when you go on any journey, you need some kind of spending money. Okay? And this will support you in your journey. And the same thing it is within our life. The more merit we have, the more we are able to spend, the more it comes back to support us. So that's why you can see that there are so many inequalities in the world. Different people have so much more, and they get it very much more easily than us. There are some people who slog all the time, who work very hard, just like animals. In fact, I've seen in other countries, in very poor countries, for example, like India, people, human beings, work like animals. Right? They carry heavy loads on their back, just like animals. I've seen cows and buffaloes do this kind of work. But in India, I've seen human beings do this kind of work. And they are no better off than animals. Right? And what do they get at the end of the day? They get only a few shillings, a few coins, just for such tough work. And therefore, we like to explain it as they have not got enough spending money on the way. They haven't accumulated enough merit. Okay? So we can see that merits in this way are very important in our lives. One illustration which I would like to give is that what we accumulate in this life, right? What we accumulate in working hard, right? In keeping, we can only keep for a certain time. Right? All our riches, your money, your house, your car, and whatever you have as possessions now can only be used by you for a certain time. So in this, when we say a person dies, right? Everybody has to die sometime. A person dies, okay? So his possessions, whatever he has, right, will follow him when he is dead. When it's time to take him out to bury him, right? It's funeral time. So they carry him from the house to the funeral car, the hearse. So everything that he has, his television set, his books and everything, will follow him how far? Will only follow him to the front door. After that, they can't follow him. Who follows him? After that, who follows him? His relatives and friends follow him. So they will follow the funeral car. And where do they follow him to? They follow him to the graveyard. And after that, they can't follow him. They don't want to jump inside. And when the grave is being covered, right? Even your best friend, your best relative will not jump inside and follow you. So they will only follow you to the graveyard. And that is as far as your friends and relatives can follow you. No further. But what actually follows you beyond the graveyard? Right? What follows you beyond death? To your next life. This important thing, this spending money, or the lack of the spending money. Sometimes we have more spending money when we go to our next life. Sometimes we have less spending money when we go to our next life. And so we say, what follows you are your meritorious deeds and your demeritorious deeds. These are actually what follow you from life to life. And so if you have done many good deeds before. Your good actions, your good results will follow you very closely. You don't have to worry. If you are so worried about dying and what happens to you in your next life, right, do as much good as you can in this life. And you can die peacefully. You can rest assured that after you have done so much good, the result will be good for you. Right? Don't have to worry about all kinds of things happening to you in your future life. Right? But if you have done something bad, right, if you have done something really unskillful, really demeritorious, these are the people who are really scared of dying. Okay? There are some people, maybe you've heard of, before they die, they start crying. They say, oh, I can see certain ugly-looking beings waiting for them. Okay? So these are the people who haven't done much good. So they are afraid to go. But there are some people, when they die with a smile, you know. Have you heard? There are some people, when they die smiling. Okay? So which means that at the moment of their death, they have a certain vision. They see the place that they are going to. Right? So they die with a smile that is, oh, I'm going to such a nice place. Why do I worry so much? So they smile and then they go off. Okay? So, so this is how important our meritorious deeds are. Right? These are the only things that follow us beyond this life to the next. Okay? And these merits can follow us from life to life until they may be exhausted. Sometimes, some people, they are so far indulging in what they have now that they forget to do some more for the future. It is like you put money in the bank, okay? You work so hard for a few years, you put the money in the bank. After that, you say, oh, I've been working for so hard. Now I don't want to work anymore. I just live on what I have. So every time you go to the bank, you use your ETC card or whatever card, you just put inside, and you keep taking out the money. And there will come a time when your bank account is zero, kosong, no more. Okay? And this is what some people are not aware of. They are born in a good family, they have good life, so what they do is they just keep on enjoying it. Right? And they don't know that they have to keep on making more meritorious deeds in order to keep the bank account balanced. But sometimes we don't understand that. What we think is, oh, we have so much, you know, and what is my duty in life? You know, what is my purpose in life? Since I have so much, why don't I just enjoy? You know, and those people who are so concerned about religion, so concerned about doing good things, I don't want to mix with them because I'm so much more fortunate than them. So what do? They lead such a pleasurable material life, and they are not sure about what happens to them in the future. And these days, we find that in fact, certain people tell us that more and more people these days are being born as petas, that is, spirits or ghosts. Why? Because they are not interested in putting into their bank balance. Right? Those petas, they are born as such because they do not have enough merit to help them stay afloat as human beings. Right? To be reborn as a human being is very great. It's very fortunate to be reborn as a human being. That means you have done a lot of good things in the past. Okay? But as human beings now, if you don't bother to keep yourself afloat, if you don't bother to put more money in the bank, next life, you don't have this merit anymore. And it is the usual result of those people who haven't done any good. Sometimes they don't do bad. No, they keep away from doing bad, but they haven't done any good. And what is the result? They are born as petas because they haven't got good enough to be born as human beings. Okay? So this is something which I hope all of us will keep in mind. It needs much merit to be reborn as human beings. And the happiness that we can get from marriage, right, I've explained to you, can be experienced, some of this happiness can be experienced here and now. Right? When we give or do some form of good work, the happiness appears in our mind. Right? And that is the first, the earliest good result. But sometimes the happiness, the results, don't come immediately. Sometimes the result will come in the future life or many, many years from now. Okay? So the results of all this cannot be said to be immediate. But the immediate result of doing any good deed is that we put our mind in a very clean state. Right? Our mind becomes pure. We experience the happiness. And this is the immediate result. Happiness naturally follows the man who purifies his mind and rejoices in what is skillful. Okay? And he likes, after having done a good job or a good deed, he's so happy with himself. He knows he has done something good. And so that happiness sustains him, right, for that period of time. Okay? And coming back to our, what I said just now about material possession. It is actually the general desire of man. All of us, throughout our lives, we want to escape painful, unwelcome experience and to seek for very nice conditions. Okay, if I give you a choice, would you like to be happy tomorrow or unhappy tomorrow? You will definitely say to me, oh, I like something nice to happen to me tomorrow. Right? This is very natural. So we spend all our lives trying to escape from all these unhappy conditions. Right? And the main thing, the main way that you can escape, the real way, is to do good, is to actually understand what meritorious deeds are all about. Okay? So I told you just now that there are in fact 10 kinds of meritorious deeds. So I will explain to you now, and I hope you can remember so that later on you can put this into practice. Right? The first one is something which we have always heard about, that is generosity. In Pali, the word is dana. So we know that we have to perform some kind of charity in our lives in order to lessen our attachment. Okay? In normal human condition, in the normal human mind, right, if we leave it, we would like to accumulate as much as possible. Okay? But if you understand that these things are actually won't follow you, as I said, as far as the front door when we are dead, then we get to have a very detached view of our possessions. Right? We must understand possessions for what they actually are. We must possess the possessions, not let the possession possess us. Okay? Some people are so concerned about what they own that it begins to influence their life so much. So, the possessions possess them, and not they possess the possessions. When a person gives, he actually has concern for others' welfare, right? And for his own welfare as well. If you have compassion, if you see that some people do not have enough, naturally the urge is to give to them, is to perform some kind of dana. And dana, charity, comes in three forms. We are actually more concerned, actually very concerned, with the first form of dana. That is, giving of material things. Right? We sometimes give donations when we hear some people don't have enough money. When we see poor people, we see beggars, we drop a coin or two. Sometimes we even read in the newspapers, oh, such a family is in financial trouble, don't have enough money. and we send our donations to help them. So this is what we call material aid, right? Material help. You know, when we hear that in Africa, Ethiopia or whatever, yeah, these people are starving because they don't have enough food. So that brings about some kind of sad feeling in us, some kind of compassionate feeling in us that we want to give. Right? We know that if we give, it is good. We know that if we give, we help those people. And these material things will help the needy, the hungry, and whatever. And in that case, in such a case, we lessen, right, our attachment to our material things. We lessen our attachments to money and whatever. Okay? Now, there is actually two other forms of dana. The second form of which is the giving of fearlessness. You can do this charity called the giving of fearlessness. In that when certain times when people are actually, they don't need your financial aid. They don't need your material help. What they need is mental, right, help. They are in a state of anxiety. They don't know what's happening to them. Some of them are very lost. Some of them may be very depressed. Okay? So they are in a state of anxiety. And what can you give to them at this moment? Right? If you give to them $100, $10, or $1,000, it makes no difference to their state of mind at that moment. Okay? So what you can give to them is the gift of fearlessness. You say some good words to them. You encourage them. You help them to calm down. And after that, they experience some form of peace in their mind. And this is the meaning of the giving of fearlessness. Now, we all know that in some time in our life, right, we need to talk to other people. We come across problems that we cannot solve. Sometimes the problems that you tell other people, right, is actually problem halved. If we keep the problem to ourselves, we feel that there is such a great burden on us. But if we tell somebody, oh, I'm suffering from this and this and this and that, the burden is actually cut into half. Okay? So there is the gift of fearlessness. Then you must be ready to listen to people and end their troubles. Sometimes we are not ready to listen. You say, oh, this person is coming. He's going to tell me all his sad stories. I don't want to listen. But you should give some time to all these people because it is actually also performing charity, the gift of fearlessness. When they have poured their sorrows onto you, right, you listen to them, but listen in a very equanimous way. Don't listen already and then start crying as well, It is not right. But if you listen and say, that is so, now I will try to give you a solution, okay? Then this person feels so much better, right? So this is the giving of fearlessness. And the last form of giving, which in fact we say is the highest form of giving, is the giving of truth. If we give somebody the Dhamma, if we give somebody the truth, right, this truth helps him not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but if we actually understand and perceive the truth, this truth will help him for many, many lifetimes. If you have introduced somebody to Buddhism, if you have introduced somebody to the truth, the real way as taught by the Buddha, you have done the best favor that you can to anybody. Because this way, this truth, helps to show him the way, or her the way, to forever cut off all suffering. And this is the best truth that you can ever give. And a point here is that we know we are very indebted. We owe our parents a lot. So this is the way the Buddha has explained how much we owe to our parents. If we were to put our mother on the right shoulder and put our father on the left shoulder and carry them all over the place so that they don't have to walk. And for 100 over years, you give them everything they want, anything they want, okay, and still carrying them, you still cannot repay what you have owed to them for bringing you into this world. The debt to them, the debt is so great that if you do this kind of action, you still cannot repay to them. And the only way, as explained by the Buddha, that you can repay what you owe to your parents is to give them this truth, is to help them understand, to perceive, right, the right way to end all suffering. So the next, that is the first form of meritorious deed. Right? As we give, when we give, at that time of giving, make sure that your mind is pure. Don't give saying, now I'm going to give you this, right? Tomorrow I want something back. Then you have polluted the act of giving. You must give with a very pure mind. And it is very important, at this moment of giving, you have mindfulness. Be very mindful that you are doing it. And at the same time, with this mindfulness, make sure that there are no selfish thoughts in your mind. Right? Sometimes when we do good things, we expect good returns. Right? When we buy social welfare tickets, right? I'm only buying this to help other people, but at the back of the mind is, I hope I can strike the first prize. Yeah? So it is, something which we have to guard against. When we give properly, give in the true spirit that you don't really expect, some material gain in return. Make sure that the mind at that moment is very pure. And after giving, you will find that you experience a very sublime kind of happiness. So that is the first meritorious deed. The second one is morality. Okay? And, the result of generosity, the result of charity. The more you give, in other lives, in future lives, you will have great wealth. Okay? And in giving, also in doing meritorious deeds, you also sometimes have to bear in mind the field of merit, that is the person you are doing the merit to. Okay? There are certain people whom, when you perform great meritorious deeds to, okay, the result is not so much, right? But if the person is very pure, the person is, let's say, a very advanced spiritually kind of person, if you do a kind of meritorious deed to him, right, the results that come back will be much more, sometimes multiplied by a great number. There are certain people whom, when you perform great meritorious deeds to, okay, the result is not so much, right? But if the person is very pure, the person is, let's say, a very advanced spiritually kind of person, if you do a kind of meritorious deed to him, right, the results that come back will be much more, sometimes multiplied by a great number. Right? This merit that come back to you. I will give you a story. There was a long time ago, there was this man, he was actually a merchant, right? And early in the morning, workers that go to work in the paddy fields, in the mines, will pass by his house. So a lot of them pass by his house. So he feels that he must do some kind of charity towards them. So early in the morning, he wakes up and he prepares breakfast for them. And he does this year after year after year after year. Many years he has done this meritorious deed. And beside him, his neighbor, right, is a man who, unfortunately, who doesn't share his feeling that they must give breakfast to all these workers. One day he walks about and he happens to come across a Pachika Buddha. Pachika Buddha means a silent Buddha, who does not preach to all the world. But he does some kind of offering to this Pachika Buddha. Just once he did it to the Pachika Buddha. And then, when he passed away, he found that he was born in a higher heaven. And his friend that gave breakfast every day for years, right, to all these workers, was born in a lower heaven. So you can understand the difference in the field of merit. When you give to people who are virtuous, people who are pure, right, the merits that come back to you, the good actions, are very, very great. If you, certain people who have been fortunate enough to give to even a Samma Sambuddha, to give to a fully enlightened Buddha, the result can be that they are born as multi-millionaires until the end of the world cycle. Every life, they are born as multi-millionaires. Just one act of charity to a fully enlightened Buddha can result in them being born as millionaires until the end of the world, until the world is destroyed. So you can see the difference in the field of merit. But that doesn't mean that we must only give to those people who are spiritually pure and say, oh, these poor people, I'm not so interested in. But sometimes also, at the same time, we have to be wise when we give, because we don't have so much that we give to everybody, right? We have a certain proportion to give to certain people. So when we know that we give to the monks who are practicing the Dhamma in their daily lives, the merits that you do here is actually more than if you were to give to those people who don't deserve it. Okay? So there is one thing to bear in mind when we consider performing meritorious deeds. Now the second meritorious deed is morality. This is very important, right, when we have to live in this world, when we have to share society, when we live in society with so many other people. So the main thing is we must observe our precepts. The 5 precepts are so important to us. So we must observe these precepts. And there are many advantages to observing these precepts. The first advantage is that people know you are a harmless person. You are a harmless person. You don't kill, you don't steal, and you don't steal other people's wives and husbands and so on and so forth. So they trust you. They know, oh, this person, sometimes they come to know, this person goes to temple all the time. And he is a very good person. He observes five precepts, so they can trust you. Sometimes when they go away for a holiday, they even trust you with a key so that you can go to the house, So this is the first advantage. People know you as a harmless person, okay? And being a harmless person, right, you also protect yourself. Right? You don't do bad things. Therefore, bad results don't come to you. Of course, if you kill, if you steal, if you do all kinds of things, right, you expect the results to come back to you in this life. If you kill and you are caught, right, straight away you get the bad result. If you steal and you are caught, straight away you get the bad results, and so on and so forth. Okay? So these are the immediate results. But we must not observe these precepts, this morality, because we are afraid. Sometimes we scare our little children. We say, oh, if you do this kind of thing, next time you will burn in hell when you die. So the child, oh, so scared, I'm going to burn in hell. And so this is the same approach that some other religions use. They want to scare you, into doing good things, into following their way. And this is actually not the right attitude. You must train people to observe precepts, right, in understanding the actual nature of the precept, in what are the results, what are the good that it brings, so that when people understand, they will do it because they want to do it. Not that when people don't see them, there's nobody around, they quickly do it. Right? Sometimes that happens to us. We look, oh, there's nobody around, and I pass by a rambutan tree, quickly finish this rambutan. And that is not the way, actually. What we must do is, we understand that it is wrong sometimes to steal and to break the precept. So that when there's nobody around, we still don't do it. And this is the actual message. This is the actual meaning of observing morality. Okay? And this is what we call an Arya. An Arya is a person who has gone beyond our worldling stage. In that when there is still no one to watch them, right, they still don't do wrong. In secret, he does not do any wrong. Okay? And this is the true observance of morality. And the result of this morality is that the person who observes it is born in noble families. He is born in a family that is of high standing and of high respect, in that this family also does not do any wrong thing. Okay? There are certain families which we know, they are respectable families. Not just because they have a lot of money, but because they also do a lot of good. So the result is that, if you observe morality, you will be reborn in noble families and also in states of happiness. That means your happiness is secure. Right? You are born well off, and there is great happiness follows you as well. Okay? And the third meritorious deed is bhavana, or mental culture. And when we use the word meditation, it is not adequate, because bhavana, in fact, also means a lot of other forms of mental culture. In Buddhism, we know that there are two forms of meditation. Meditation that is concentration meditation. We learn to calm our mind down. And insight meditation, in that we learn to see the true nature of the world, the true nature of existence. And when we have gained, right, this kind of, we practice bhavana, okay, our mind becomes purer. And when we have pure mind, we don't experience so much frustration, we don't experience so much agitation. So it is very important also to practice meditation. And meditation also leads to higher knowledge and wisdom. Okay, the more we practice meditation, we understand more about the nature of the world. And when we understand more about the nature of the world, we are not so attached. We experience so much more happiness. Right? We don't let the bad things bother us so much. Although, as worldlings, we still like to indulge in good things, we are able to stop the bad things from coming and disturbing our mind. Okay? The more we practice, the more we understand. And finally, the actual goal of this bhavana, the actual goal of this meditation is to lead us further onto attaining the state whereby there is totally no more suffering. And that state is nibbana. Okay? And so the result is that we gain higher knowledge and wisdom. And the fourth form of meritorious deed is the transference of merit. Okay? Sometimes when we have done good deeds, we have done good work, we share this merit with others. There are certain beings in this world, sometimes we cannot see them. Okay? And they need our help, they need our support. There is in fact one group of deva which can be promoted, can experience more joy if we transfer our merits to them when we have done something good. Right? And so these beings, right, they can benefit as a direct result of us performing this transference of merit. And the result is that if you perform this meritorious deed, in future life, you will have more ability. The chance is there more for you to give. So you give now, right? Later on, the result is that you can give some more, and some more, and some more, and some more, until it never ends. Until you have so much, to give. And the results will, of course, come back to you. And the transference of merit sometimes is very great. There are certain other beings which we do not know that also share our world, and they are very grateful whenever we think of them when we have done something good. Okay? And sometimes when we need the help of these unseen beings, sometimes these devas, when we think of them after we have done something good, they also will be grateful that we think of them. And when we need their help, we are in trouble of some sort, sometimes they will come forward to help us. But we don't understand, we don't really know. But we know that, when we are in trouble, sometimes the trouble automatically solves itself. Okay? And the other one is, number 5 is rejoicing in others' merits. Okay? Rejoicing in others' merits. Sometimes this is very hard to do. When we see somebody doing good, sometimes we are not happy because there is a kind of a selfish nature in us which we now after knowing, should try to control. So when we see that people are doing good, we should be happy. We should have developed this state of mind called mudita. In that when people are happy, we are also happy, right? Sometimes it is very difficult because it is natural for us to experience this kind of jealousy. When we see our friends, our neighbors, all going up in the world, sometimes there is a tinge of jealousy in us. And if we don't check it, it will become something very dangerous. Okay? Now, rejoicing in others' merit is productive of joy wherever one is born. What is the result? The result is this, right? Wherever we are born with joy. We are born with happiness. Why? Because in the past, we are so happy that others are happy. Okay? But if you are unhappy when others are happy, what is the result? Most probable result is you will be born unhappy. Others will be all happy, but you will be there unhappy. You see? So it is important for you to be happy when others are happy. When others are doing good deeds, say, do some more, encourage them. So you will be happy and you will achieve good results in this. Now, number 6 and 7, right? We are moving very much closer now to the Dhamma. All these things you can do without actually talking about the Dhamma. But number 6 and 7 is directly concerned with the Dhamma. Number 6 is hearing the Dhamma. When you hear the Dhamma, when you listen to the Dhamma, your mind becomes more wise. There is more wisdom in your mind. Your mind is clearer. You get rid of insecurities. You get rid of all kinds of doubts. There are lots of people who, before they come and actually study Buddhism, they are full of all kinds of fears and superstitions. They think that, if I do this kind of thing, if I don't burn paper, if I don't burn joss stick, something is going to happen to me. Or when some people pass away, they must burn all these paper houses and all sorts of things. Because, why? Because they are scared. So there is some kind of insecurity in them. And that is the reason why we as Chinese, those uneducated, those who do not understand Buddhism, when a relative has passed away, they spend so much money, thousands and thousands of dollars, burning cars, burning houses, burning all sorts of things. Why? Not because that these people actually receive them wherever they are born, but because they are scared this death will come back and disturb them. So they do it for the living. Right? And the people who actually encourage this, right, these people who sell these things, they do it so that the fear, is instilled in you. Then they earn money from this kind of fear. Right? But when you actually understand Buddhism, you understand the 31 planes of existence, right? You know that there is no use in burning all these things. What you should do, you should transfer merits to them. You should do good things and remember these people, and pass it on to their good name. Right? So when you hear the Dhamma, all these doubts and superstitions are actually cleared up. That is as if something is closing your eyes and it is removed, right? And you can actually see, right, the world in its clearest state. You understand more. And therefore, the direct result of hearing the Dhamma is you promote your wisdom. You have no more superstitions, no more doubts, no more misunderstandings. And number 7, immediately after that, is you expound the Dhamma. That means you explain the Dhamma to those who was like you, who were like you, who did not have this understanding, who did not have this wisdom. So you encourage them, saying, now I have learned so much. Why don't you also come and learn more? And if they want to hear, then you explain to them, tell them about all these things. And so you clear the cobwebs, the darkness in their mind. You shine the light through, and you promote wisdom in them. And at the same time, you also encourage, you also promote your own wisdom. Okay? And that is number 7. Number 8 is reverence. That is, we are humble. We are very humble when it comes to paying respect to the people who actually deserve respect. Now the people these days, they actually relate to their older or the elder folks as one-to-one on the same level, especially in the West. You have heard that in certain Western countries, they don't call their father, father, they don't call their mother, mother, they call them by their first name. Say, hello John, hello Mary, instead of saying hello mom, hello dad, So they want to be on the same level. They don't have reverence. They don't have this humility. Okay? And the result of this reverence is that we are born to noble parents. We are born to higher, we are born to actually a more respectable parent. Okay? So this is what we must develop. We must be humble. If we don't have a humble and a flexible mind, we are not, it is not easy to train, not easy to teach. If all of you come here this morning, right, thinking, oh, I know it, I have all the knowledge at my fingertips, no matter what I say to you, or before me, no matter what Chief Reverend says to you, you will not be able to absorb. Because why? In your mind, it is so hard, because you think you know everything. It is the same story as told by a Zen master. Right? There was this person in Japan. Right? He heard that there was a very famous Zen master. Okay, so he said, this Zen master is so great. Why don't I go and listen to him and see what he has to teach? So he also has pride, So he goes and sees the Zen master, and the Zen master, on seeing him, knows his level, his kind of mentality. So brings out 2 cups of tea to him. Okay? So puts 2 empty cups. And he starts to pour tea. He said, oh, why don't you have some tea before we start talking? So he pours tea into this cup. And he pour and pour and pour until the cup is full. After that, he still keeps pouring until it overflows and flows all over the table. And this man, he sits there and he watches. So the Zen master is pouring until it flows all over, and he cannot help himself anymore. And he says, oh, stop, do you know what you're doing? You're pouring all over the table. So the master said, this is exactly like your state of mind. You have come here with your cup already full. Whatever I give you cannot go in. So this is the same way, same attitude of mind we must have when we want to learn, when we want to be trained. Be ready to identify what we have learned before. If they are wrong, say that it is wrong. Say that can be corrected. If you say what you have learned in the past is right, there's nothing for you to learn here and now. Right? If it is wrong, you must understand it is wrong and learn something new. Then you will develop, you will advance. Okay? And number 9 is service. Performing some kind of service to your friends, right, and to your community. And this is what we are actually, in fact, doing here. So at this point, I must do an advertisement for the youth section. We are doing service to you. So we hope you will come and help us do service too. Okay? And the result of service, if you help people, all right, not just in a religious sense, but also, let's say you see some old folks' home, some orphanages, they need help, you go and offer your service to them. You go and look after them, right? And you go and clean up their premises or whatever. The result is that you will be born with a large circle of friends and supporters. Right? This is the main result. You will be born with a large circle of friends and supporters. Sometimes we are born, certain people find that they don't have enough friends. Right? They want to call somebody friend, also very difficult. They can count the friends, maybe on one hand also cannot count, So not enough. So the main reason is that they have not performed enough service in the past. They have not served other people. So when they are in need of help, no one to help them. Okay? So this is deficiency. There's not enough. They haven't done enough of this meritorious deed. And the last one is the straightening of one's own views. And this is coming again very directly into contact with the Dhamma. Whatever that you did not understand or you wrongly understood in the past, you make sure you understand it right. Understand it well. Okay? And this is in conjunction with the understanding of life as it actually is. The understanding of truth. And when you have really understood truth, okay, you really understood the nature of the world, that is, you have destroyed all your passions, all the defilements that have stopped you from understanding it in the past, you destroy them, and you result in the attainment of Nibbana. And when you have attained Nibbana, when you have achieved this state of Nibbana, you actually go beyond merits. You don't need the merits anymore. Merits are to help you on your journey to your destination. And as Buddhists, what is our destination? Our destination is Nibbana. And whatever we do as meritorious deeds help us. They are spending money on this journey. Okay, they help us to go forward. The more merits we have, the faster we go forward. Okay? In that, for example, you have performed charity before in the past. Right now, right, you are comfortable. You have enough to eat. You have a good place to sleep. You have enough material wealth. Therefore, you can come here and listen to the Dhamma. If on Sunday you have to work, no way you can come here and learn the Dhamma. Right? You haven't done enough, that means. So you have to work on Sunday, you have to work on Saturday, weekend you must work. So where comes the spiritual advancement? No way you can listen. No way the Dhamma can advance in you. But if you have done enough giving in the past, now you are comfortable. Sunday you can rest. So Sunday morning what do? You come here and listen to the Dhamma. Then you advance. Which means, as I said, on your journey, the spending money is more. It pushes you forward. Right? Whereas those people who haven't got enough, they cannot go forward. Yeah? They cannot go advance towards Nibbana. Okay? And this is the 10th meritorious deed. The result is the destruction of passion and the attainment of Nibbana. And after we have attained Nibbana, as I said, you don't need merits anymore. You already have achieved what is the main purpose in life. Okay? And I think right now, I don't have much time, so I will round it off by reading to you a little verse from the Dhammapada. I hope you will like it and listen to it well. Should a person merit make, let him do it time and again, and turn his heart to delight therein, for happy is the piling up of merit. As from a heap of flowers, many a garland may be made. So by one born mortal, that is born a human, should many skilled deeds be done. Disregard not meritorious deeds, thus thinking, merit will not come near to me, for the constant falling of drops fills even a huge water jar. The sage, the wise man likewise, little by little, fills himself with merit. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Once long ago in a land far away was a house full of children absorbed in their play. Their father had left them alone for the day to travel the high roads and the lonely pathways. While the children were playing, the house caught on fire. They continued their games while the hot flames rose higher. Just then their father from his journey returned. How he trembled in fear lest his children be burned. Come out to his children, he cried, but they were too busy with their toys inside. Though they heard his warning, they paid him no mind, for they had no intention of leaving their toys behind. So finally he called to them, come out, I have toys to give each of you, my dear girls and boys. Sheep carts and deer carts and ox carts and more. So come out and take them, for they are all yours. And the kids in a scramble, they ran from the house, pushing and shoving in a dash they ran out. They went straight to their father in the crossroads he stood, saying, give us those carts like you promised you would. And the father, he told them in a voice low and calm, of sheep carts and deer carts and ox carts I've none, but I have a grand carriage pulled by oxen so white, hung with tassels and bells, a magnificent sight. Now the Buddha